Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to be talking about Terrifier 2 and its new 4K Blu Ray. But before we do that, if you guys are into 4K reviews, movie reviews, some tech and some video game stuff along the way, then please consider subscribing because we do all that here. Now, I want to address the elephant in the room. We've been having some camera issues, so I am using my webcam at the command center. This is my gaming area. You know, I have a decent webcam, so hopefully it's not too terrible. So Terrifier actually stemmed from these little indie, low-budget anthology movies called All Hallows Eve. Now, there was an All Hallows Eve and an All Hallows Eve Part 2. And Art the Clown, the Terrifier, he was a small character in just one of the skits. He wasn't in every single one of them. That's basically where the character stemmed from. And it became pretty popular. Everyone kind of really enjoyed it. And then he got his own movie, The Terrifier. And this was a very, very low budget. It was written and directed by Damien Leone. And this, I think, had a budget of like $35,000. And it shows, but it's still a good movie. It's a fun slasher. If you're into the slasher genre, this is definitely for you. I wouldn't say it's like any worse than any of the ones other ones out there, but it is a little bit more gory, a little bit more intense, but not like a huge step up. They advertise it as that. I mean, it is pretty gory, but to me, I don't think it's a huge thing. And that leads us into Terrifier 2. This is the newest release. Now, this one has been getting a lot of buzz, like where people were walking out of the theater. It was only in select theaters. I didn't catch it in the theater. I had some friends that did. Some people were like vomiting in the theater. Like I think that's a little excessive. I just watched it while eating dinner, and then I had a bag of popcorn after, and I don't think it was overly dramatically gory. It's definitely very gory. It's very bloody. The effects are pretty well done. It looks somewhat real, and it's definitely pretty intense. But like to the point where vomiting, no. Maybe I just have a stronger stomach. I don't know. If I see real blood or something like that, I get very uneasy. But movie stuff like that, I can handle that stuff pretty much all day. I'm like, ooh, that's kind of, but that's about it. You know, I'm not gonna vomit or pass out. But the director, Damien Leone, actually, he commented on it, saying that it's kind of like a badge of honor. He kind of takes pride in the people saying that it's doing that to them, you know, because he made the movie and he made an intense movie. I agree with that. You know, it's definitely pretty intense. There's one scene in this specifically. I don't want to spoil too much because this was pretty hard to see, and I'm sure a lot of people are going to be seeing this first time on physical, so I don't want to really spoil it. But there's one scene that I was like, oh my god, is this going to end soon? Like, it just keeps going and going and going. And they really drag out some of these kill scenes in this. So I didn't actually notice it wasn't rated until after I looked. So that makes a lot more sense, because like, oh my god, like, how is this a rated R movie? Because it does get pretty intense. I can understand some people who have a bit of a weak stomach, how it could get to them. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely a step above the original or even the short films that came before. And there's not too many movies out there now that I can really say had like this type of drawn out scene, you know, because most movies out there are rated or are R-rated, and you know, they have rules to play by. But if it's not rated, there's not really too many rules. So there is something to say about that. I like, even on the front cover, there's a quote by Stephen King.
Hi, my name is Stephen King.
Terrifier 2, grossing you out, old school. Because I saw that before I watched the movie, obviously. I get it, because like the second the movie starts, it's got like this synth 80s like score to it, and the entire score of the movie, it reminded me a lot of like Stranger Things, almost like that 80s synth, just like music, you know. And I loved it. I eat that up. I love 80s type movies, and I think they did a really awesome job with the score in this movie. I really enjoyed it. Now, the budget on this movie was $250 million versus the $35,000 on the original, and that definitely shows, because, you know, the actors in this are a bit better. I'm not saying they're going to win Oscars or any of that, but for a horror movie coming off of the original and then the ones that came before it, I think it's a huge step up, and they definitely used the budget. Especially like the gore effects. Oh my god, like they must have spent a ton of money all the kill scenes, because there's a lot. Like, if I had to count on my head, there's probably like 5 or 6 like really, really bloody, gory, drawn out. Like, some of them are like 5 minutes long of this guy just hacking people up, and it's pretty crazy. But it is a very entertaining movie. I'll give it that. I love Art the Clown. He has like this mime type thing, because he doesn't make a sound, he doesn't talk, he doesn't yell, he doesn't scream, he doesn't even whistle, nothing. He just does not make a peep, and he just makes facial expression, and he's basically like a mime, but he's dressed as a clown, and he's just pretty terrifying.
Jesus Christ!
Now, this movie played a little fast and loose with the rules. There was like a fantasy element to it. I don't really know how to explain it without spoiling it, so I'll just leave it at that. But overall, I think the movie was great. If you haven't seen the first one, the All Hallows Eve, they're not the greatest, but it gives you a taste of Art the Clown. Terrifier was much better than the 2 standalones, I think, and Terrifier 2, just as good, if not better. It's definitely a lot long. This movie was like 2 hours and 18 minutes or something like that, where I think the first one was it was 84 minutes, so the runtime almost doubled. And they really fleshed out the characters, and overall I think it was made pretty well. I think they did a great job, and I think there's gonna be a third. The way they kind of end these off, this might be a franchise that's here to stay, because people are making a big deal about it. It seems to be making money. They made $12.3 million. $250,000 was the budget, which is actually pretty damn low if you think about it, because like a lot of movies out there get millions to make, and they did this in $250,000, which is still like a lot more than the original. They got $35,000 budget, but still for $250K, I think they made a pretty excellent movie out of it. I could definitely recommend this movie to any slasher fan out there, any horror fan, as long as you could deal with the extreme blood gore. This is definitely a movie for you. Let's talk about the 4K release. But now, there's been a couple different releases of Terrifier 2 recently. I think Amazon had a special edition. I think Walmart had a special edition steelbook. And this is the Best Buy exclusive 4K. So that's also kind of a new thing going on, where stores are getting exclusive formats, because I believe you can only get the 4K through Best Buy. And, that's not the best practice. I can understand the different slipcovers or a steelbook exclusive, but you can only get the 4K through Best Buy. I mean, I generally get through Best Buy anyway, so it wasn't a big deal for me. But some people who just prefer to stick with Amazon or wherever you get your movies from, it could be a bit of an annoyance. But I'm sure this will probably pop up on Amazon eventually. Maybe there's a timed exclusive or something like that. Not entirely sure. Once I opened up this package, I thought this was really cool, because I love when you take that slipcover off and you have a different picture on an artwork on the inside that's different than the slipcover. I love when they do that. So I didn't really understand the slipcover until I watched the movie. Now looking at it, makes a lot more sense. One thing I forgot to add about the movie plot: after the credits roll, stick around after it'll show just like the cast list, and as soon as that's over, there's a extended after credits, post credits scene with Chris Jericho, which is pretty cool, because in the beginning I saw the credits, it said Chris Jericho, and we were getting I was at the 2-hour mark, and I was like, I haven't seen Chris Jericho yet, what's going on with that? And then post credits, Chris Jericho is in there, so that was kind of cool to see him on the screen. I was hoping for a bigger role, but whatever, I'll take what we can get, because I'm a Chris Jericho fan. Anyway, back to the 4K. So once you pop off that slipcover, we have the Blu Ray and the 4K disc. So you do get both discs in this, which is nice. People who want to have both. But we bought this for the 4K. So popping this in the player, it does not have Dolby Vision, and it's not the strongest HDR. It's the 4.2.0. Again, I don't know exactly what that means, but those are the stats that my 4K player reads. That has something to do with chroma. I know 444 is what you want to aim for and what to have. I'm not entirely sure if you can get 444 chroma without Dolby Vision. So this is just standard HDR 420, and generally those discs are a bit less impressive. And again, with the $250,000 budget, it kind of shows. Maybe it was filmed like that on purpose to look. It had like this filter over the movie where I guess they tried to make it like an 80s looking movie, because even like the initial, the logo, like the title, it kind of gave me Nightmare on Elm Street like 1 or 2 vibes, where it had that, and then the white 2 behind the red lettering, and like the screen wasn't like perfectly black. It was weird, it kind of reminded me of the Nightmare on Elm Street movies, the way they did that, and then with that 80s score behind it. I think that was the look they were going for, and if it is, they nailed it. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. I did enjoy it. I liked the way it looked. It's just not a reference quality, 10 out of 10 visual 4K disc. Compared to the included Blu-ray, not a huge step up. You get that HDR in there, but I don't think the HDR really does anything special here. There was one scene that I noticed to me that looked bad. There's a scene with fire, and it just didn't really handle the fire with the contrast of the really bright fire in the dark room. That's like the one negative thing I have to say visually. Oh, and then after that, overall, I think it looked okay. Good to okay. Visually, not impressed, but I'm not disappointed either. Again, especially looking at that budget, I think it's not terrible. Now, can I recommend the 4K over the Blu-ray? Yeah, I guess. But I think this is probably the one you're gonna, unless you want that. The Steelbook is super nice, but I'm a 4K guy, and I kind of like the slipcover with the 2 different artworks. The Steelbook was very nice, but I still think I'm happy with this one. As far as audio goes, it had a DTS 5.1. Sounded good. Again, it's not an Atmos track. It's not the most impressive, but it wasn't the worst thing I've ever heard. It wasn't bad at all. They made some use of the rear speakers. Some of the front channel stuff was really heavy. There was boom and bass. So overall, I think it was a very good audio track. And audio tracks in horror movies could be hit or miss. That's really a powerful tool in a horror movie, is to have the audio track really, really nail it, especially if you're using a surround sound, because some scenes where it's just building up tension, the score and the audio track, that's a big part of it. So I think they did pretty good with this. Again, it's not an Atmos track, but 5.1 is kind of the norm. Atmos is for the action movies and all the brand new stuff, but again, look at the budget. We're not expecting an Atmos track, but I think they did a very good job with the 5.1. So overall, the visuals, the audio, the movie itself, I think I'm going to give Terrifier 2 an 8.5 out of 10. I enjoyed the movie a lot. It is very gory as hell. It's a bloody good time. Not the best thing ever, but not bad. It's perfectly watchable. It looks more than fine. There's just a couple scenes you can nitpick, but it's really not that big of a deal. This is the best you're going to get. Audio, I think audio track was very good. Not really any complaints there. So I think it's a decent package. I definitely can recommend picking it up if you're a fan of horror movies, slasher movies, the Terrifier franchise. Definitely grab this one and add it to your collection. If you want to buy it through Amazon, we will post our affiliate link down in the description. It will not be the 4K because I believe that's only Best Buy. We can link the Blu-ray special edition off of Amazon. And if you want this one, this is on Best Buy. And I think Walmart has an exclusive Steelbook as well. So there's a few different options you can get with Terrifier 2. One thing I did want to note, there is bonus features on the 4K disc itself. So that's pretty cool. Not all the time do they put the bonus features on the 4K disc, especially when they include a Blu-ray that really tends to hold all the bonus features, where they put them on the 4K disc here, and we appreciate that. And we also appreciate you liking this video and subscribing to the channel if you haven't already done so, because that is the best way to help us out. But until next time, guys, have a great day.